Beloved, this is the part of the text I did not want to read. This is the part of the text that really made me look at myself. This is the part of the text I struggle with because he said, I know my transgressions. Beloved, many of us struggle on this Christian walk because we know our transgressions, but we refuse to admit it. David here shows us if you want to move from guilt to grace, you got to be convicted enough to say, Lord, I know who I am. Yes, I'm the drunk of the family. Yes, I like to sleep around. Yes, I do drugs. Yes, I got a bad attitude. Yes, I'm prideful. Yes, I like to spend money. He says, for my sin is ever before me. What David is saying is, I can't get it out of my mind. He's saying, I know my transgressions because it keeps me laid up at night. I know my transgressions because every time I look at my child in the face, I see my sin. I know my transgressions because every time I go to work, they mention my name. He's saying it's ever before me. And I wonder, have you ever struggled so much with your transgressions that you can't get it out your mind? David said, I need mercy. I need compassion because my sins keep on coming back everywhere I turn. And I wonder if that's you today. I wonder if you're living at a point in life where your sin is ever before me. That means when I wake up, I feel it. That means when I go to sleep, I feel it. That means when I'm in a drive-thru, I feel it. That means everywhere I go, I'm convicted. David says, for my sin is ever before me. That means even when I'm having my best days, I still feel it. That means even when I'm looking good on the inside, I'm really dying, and you don't even know because my sin is ever before me. But can I tell you, the way to let go of it is you got to express it, and you got to say, Lord, I know my transgressions. And now I want to give it back to you. David, in this text, he shifts after saying, I know my transgressions, my sins are before me. He then says, it is against you and you only that I've sinned. Beloved, we got to stop right there. Because what about Uriah? What about Bathsheba, the one you raped? And she didn't have a choice. What about her father? What about Joab, your military leader, that you brought him into your mess that you never should have brought him in? What about these folks? What David was not saying was that he's not worried about him. What he was saying was, because I sinned against them, I also sinned against God. Because they are a representation of God. The problem with us is we're so okay with hurting folk because we don't realize it's really hurting God. Maybe the reason why you're okay being messy like you are is because you don't understand the folk you keeping up mess with is a representation of God. So I want to tell you during this holiday season, you better stop thinking you got away with hurting somebody. Because God sees everything. God knows every word you speak. God knows every plan that you have to try to cause somebody else's demise. He says, it's against you that I've sinned. But then he does something. I know this is not a shouting message, but God sent me here to preach this morning. I don't know why. But he says, Lord, I did evil in your sight, and you are right for your verdict and justified when you judge. What he's saying is the punishment I deserve, I'm okay with it because I did it. Maybe the reason why you're struggling in your faith is because you're mad at God for giving you the punishment you did deserve. Maybe the reason why you don't want to shout is because deep down on the inside you're mad. You're mad because something didn't turn out the way in your life that you thought it would. And now you're mad at God saying, God, if you really loved me, I would have had this. God, if you really loved me, I'd have this man. God, if you really loved me, I'd have this amount of money. God, if you really loved me. But then God is saying, but you are the man. But you are the woman. David says, whatever you judge, however you judge me, I deserve it, and I'm okay with it. Beloved, to move from guilt to grace, you got to be okay with the punishment, no matter what it is. David here, he pierces me because he says, Lord, you're right to judge me however you want. Conviction accepts whatever judgment God deems necessary. So maybe I stopped by today to talk to you, to tell you, you deserve what you got. But even though you got what you got, I believe that you still ought to say thank you, because even though you got what you got,